Okay, now we're going to start linear functions in slope-intercept form. This is chapter 2.3. From this video, you should learn how to graph linear equations and how to write equations of lines. Slope can be represented in many ways. The first one is the equation. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, where x1, y1 is an ordered pair, and x2, y2 is another ordered pair. B, the other way that could represent slope is rise over run. So that's if you were given a graph. And C is they could represent slope by change in y over change in x, and that's if you were given a table. So the first representation of slope that I gave you was if you were given two ordered pairs, and that's when you use the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then I told you if you were given the ordered pair x1, y1, but you can just label yours x1, y1 and x2, y2. And then you just plug them in. That's going to be 4 minus 7 on top, and then negative 2 minus negative 3 on bottom. And then you're going to get negative 3 over 1, which is negative 3. And that's your slope. For B, I'm not going to write the formula this time. I'm just going to do 1, 1, 2, 2. So we're going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Add the opposite and you get 4 over 0. Anytime you have 0 in the bottom of a fraction, that's going to be undefined. And as far as your graph goes, this just represents a vertical line. Okay, we're going to do this again. We're going to find slope. I'm going to do, I'll do 1 and then you can do the other 2. So we're going to do x1, y1, x2, y2. So we'll do 1 minus 4 over 8 minus 5. And I get negative 3 over 3, which reduces to negative 1. So my slope is negative 1. Pause the video and do B and C on your own, and then I will give you the answers in just a second. Okay, here are your two answers. B is 1, because negative 4 over negative 4 reduces to 1. C is undefined because you get 0 in the bottom. Anytime you have the same x coordinates, that is a vertical line, which means your slope will be undefined. Speaking of an undefined slope, there are 4 different ways your graph could present slope. The first one is a positive slope, which would look like this. I'm going to write positive on that graph because it goes uphill from left to right. You read a graph just like you read a sentence, and from left to right that graph goes uphill, so it's positive. The second is a negative slope, which is going to go downhill from left to right. Again, you read a graph just like you read a sentence. You read it from left to right. Since this one's going downhill, that's going to be a negative slope. The next two are completely opposite, but somehow students still get them confused. The first one I'm going to talk about is a slope of 0, which is, if you think about it, the floor has a slope of 0, so that's going to be a horizontal line, or 0 slope. And the last one is that undefined that we talked about, so that's going to be a vertical line. And that's got an undefined slope. If you think about that, because slope is rise over run, if you tried to go from one point to the next point, it would be different each time, and then you run 0. So 0 is on the bottom, so it's undefined. Okay, now let's talk about slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is slope and b is y-intercept. So example A here says that slope is 1/5 and y-intercept is 0, -3, which really just means that the y-intercept is -3. your y-intercept is always going to have x equals 0. But when you plug it in, you get y equals 1/5 x minus 3. That's it. They only asked for it in slope-intercept form. B, you're going to get y equals negative 3x plus 4. And that's it. Okay, so I'm going to let you try this one on your own. Pause the video and do it, and I'll give you the answer in just a second. Okay, so if you plug in 6 for slope and 5 for the y-intercept, you get 6x plus 5. If you plug in negative 1/2 for slope and negative 3 for the y-intercept, you get negative 1/2 x minus 3. Okay, now let's write these equations in slope-intercept form. So you just want to rewrite these equations. Slope-intercept form, I'm going to write down again, but it's y equals mx plus b, which pretty much just means that you're solving for y. And you want to make the x term come right after the equal sign, and then the constant term come next. So if I need to solve for y, that means I have to move this to the right-hand side. So you get negative 4y equals negative 5x plus 16. Then you have to get y by itself by dividing by negative 4. So you get y equals negative 5 over negative 4, which is positive 5/4 x. And then positive 16 divided by negative 4 is negative 4. So it's 5/4 x minus 4. There's a lot of sign work happening in here, so you need to be super careful. Okay, B, we want to get y by itself. So I'm going to move this to the other side. Since it's minus 3/4 x on that side, you're going to add 3/4 x to the other side. Now I have 1/2 y equals negative 1 plus 3/4 x. If you'll look at slope-intercept form, the x comes right after the equal sign, so I really need to swap these two numbers around. So I'm going to rewrite that 1/2 y equals 3/4 x minus 1. Now you have to get rid of the 1/2, so to do that you can multiply both sides by 2. That means on the right hand side you have to multiply everything by 2, so you get 6/4 x minus 2. And you can reduce 6/4 to 3/2 x minus 2. And that's your answer. Okay, so I'm going to let you try these two on your own. I will go through the whole solution with you in just a second, but pause it and try it on your own first. Okay, A, you got to get the y by itself, so you're going to subtract 3x. And you get 2y equals negative 3x plus 18. You always want to put that x term right after the equal sign. Then you got to divide everything by 2. So you get y equals negative 3/2 x plus 9. B, you want to get the y term by itself, so you're going to add 7x. And you get negative 5y equals 7x plus 35. Divide both sides by negative 5. And you get y equals negative 7/5 x plus 7. Not plus 7, minus 7, because it's positive 35 divided by negative 5. So it needs to be minus 7. Okay, graphing a linear equation, what you want to do is first put it in slope-intercept form. So we're going to get the y by itself. That means we have to move this over. So we get y equals 2x plus 1. Now you have to identify slope and the y-intercept. So slope is the number in front of the x, y-intercept is the constant. Now you graph those. So the y-intercept is 2, so we're going to go up the y-axis to 2. The y-intercept is 1, so we're going to go up to 1 and put a point. And slope is 2, which is 2 over 1. So we're going to rise 2, run 1, and put a point. Rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. And then we draw our line. And you graph the equation. First, put it in slope-intercept form. Second, identify slope and y-intercept. Third, graph. Always start with your b, then use your slope. Okay, we'll do this one together. First, we're going to put it in slope-intercept form, so we need to take this and move it over here. Negative 7y equals negative 4x plus 14. Divide both sides by negative 7, and you get y equals positive 4/7 x minus 2. So m is 4/7 and b is negative 2. The first thing you graphed is y-intercept. The second thing you graph is slope. So we're going to go down 2, put a point. Then we go up 4, right 7. Let me do that again. Up 4, right 7. So it's going to be right there. We can go the opposite way. Instead of up 4, right 7, we can go down 4, left 7, which is going to be right there. Then you draw your line. Alright, here are your guided questions. You only have 4. On the first 2, I want you to put the equation in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. On the last 2, I want you to find slope using the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Put these on a separate sheet of paper and bring it to me tomorrow for your homework grade.